everyone, and welcome back to the Huddle, brought to you by Play USA. My name's Nicole, here with
Ian St. Clair, who cannot pick proper prop bets.
me either. We are both struggling this season, but you do have a new hat that
I
you've brought
do.
out today. Is there a story behind this one, or what do we got?
Just that I haven't worn it in a while, so it actually looks pretty cool. I might wear it more.
And I don't know how you feel. Like, I feel pretty defeated. Our teams are going up against each other
They
this week,
are.
but I don't know. Like, I just feel so defeated as a Steelers fan that I don't even know if I have trash talk in me. I don't even know who our starting quarterback is this week. Ben's injured again.
Injured.
Yes, injured. I personally feel, listen, I put out on Twitter that I felt last game it's at some point you got to see what you have in Dwayne Haskins because the Steelers haven't done much to really invest in the future after Roethlisberger. He's not performing well. At some point, you got to get the kid reps if he's going to be taking over. And I got a lot of hate on Twitter about it. And lo and behold, Ben Roethlisberger's injured, and I'm interested to see who is starting this next game.
And Benjamin Albright, who is a Broncos insider for KOA, the flagship radio station for the Broncos here in Denver, said that barring any unforeseen setbacks, Teddy Bridgewater will be the quarterback for the Broncos on Sunday. So at least we're not going to have to deal with Drew Lock. Sorry for all the Missouri
All
fans
right,
out
so
there.
he's out of concussion protocol. He's good. It wasn't Ted. That what Teddy was in. He was getting evaluated for a concussion, right?
Yeah, he was in concussion protocol. That's why he left the game against the Ravens on Sunday. But he should be back potentially on Thursday, today, or on Friday for practice. But barring any unforeseen setbacks, he should be the quarterback under center and starting on Sunday.
Might make the game a little more interesting because, like you said, Drew Lock versus Dwayne Haskins matchup. I don't know if that would have how entertaining that would have been for either of us, but
it would have been the ultimate pillow fight.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, I think that I can talk a little bit of smack. I think the Broncos haven't really had the toughest schedule to go up against so far. So we'll see. I know a lot of people are hating on the Steelers, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't have a lot of faith in my team. We'll see who the quarterback is and if, I don't know. I don't have much to say. I'm drained as a Steelers fan.
I will say if the Broncos want to make a push for the playoffs, if they want to be a playoff contender, this is a must win for the Broncos.
This is the game. All right, let's see how it plays out. And you know what? If I win, maybe I'll have some more trash talk to say. And if you win, I'm sure you'll have plenty of comments for me next week. But without further ado, I'm going to kick it off. We're going into the worst of the week. And for this one, we're going to talk about a very hyped up game. We talked about it last week. I mean, this is all anyone was talking about, Tom Brady's return to Foxborough. It was Sunday Night Football. You had the Patriots and the Buccaneers. And I mean, I was on the bandwagon of Tom Brady's going to go in and he's going to shut things down in Foxborough. And that is not what we saw. First of all, a lot of emotion. He did get a lot of cheers when he came out of the tunnel. Then he took that first snap. And I got to give it to the fans in Foxborough. They were in sync. I mean, they were like, we are cheering when he comes out of the tunnel. We are booing when he takes the first snap. And they made their feelings clear. We respect you. We love you, but we want our team to win.
And you'll get into it, but the fact that we did buy into the hype, I mentioned the Brady bets at DraftKings, and of course, as soon as we mentioned Rob Gronkowski as the favorite to get the record-breaking catch, he doesn't even make the trip to New England.
Of course.
But I mean, the fact that he even played, I mean, I've fractured ribs. I think he has a broken rib. So there's no doubt Gronk is one tough dude. But yeah, I mean, we bought into it. We all thought that Brady was going to just absolutely destroy the Patriots and Bill Belichick. He wants to prove that, no, it was me. It wasn't Belichick. And it was still a great game.
It was, no, absolutely
great game. Downpour and the weather.
Yeah, I mean, we had the rain, the emotion, the bad passes. Don't think anyone thought that that game was going to go to 36 points. I think everyone would have taken the over if you would have said that. But yeah, it was definitely a very interesting game. I mean, the reason it's our worst of the week, not because it was a bad game to watch, but because we've gotten some insight on how everyone bet it, and it was a really bad beat for a lot of bettors out there, but a great weekend for the sports book. So our friends, our colleagues over at thelines.com actually did a great write-up on this. And let me look at the stats that we've got. So they basically did a full breakdown of how this game was bet at BetMGM Sportsbook. And that sportsbook commented that 2/3 of the spread bets came in on Tampa Bay -7.5, which obviously failed to cover. The final score was 19-17 for the Bucks. And so yeah, I mean, sportsbooks cashed in on this one. Obviously, a lot of those money line bets came in for the Bucks, and those cash. So if the Patriots would have been able to win outright, it would have been an insane weekend for sportsbooks. But nonetheless, they still had a great weekend with all those spread bets that came in.
And I think the credit to the sports books, because BetMGM won't be the only one that had a great weekend because of that game.
Right.
They did a good job of throwing out the carrot and saying, yeah, this is going to be a great game. The Patriots don't have a shot against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. And we even talked about it. Tom Brady coming off a loss going back to Foxborough.
Right.
So kudos to the sports books for throwing that carrot out there. And I think this is an instance, and I told you this before we started recording this, that this is where you want to bet with your head and not over it, because I think emotion got into it. We thought that the emotion was going to drive Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and obviously there is another side involved in this with Bill Belichick, and the way Mac Jones played, that was a hell of a performance by the rookie quarterback from Alabama. So, in this instance, bet with your head, not over it, and don't let emotion get into it. And I know that's hard because sports is all about emotion, but betting is not.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely all had opinions on this game, and strong opinions. And I think sportsbooks knew that. They knew that everyone was leaning towards Brady. They didn't have a lot of faith in Belichick, but Belichick gave Brady a lot of defensive looks. I mean, he was switching it up. I mean, Brady struggled out there. He didn't look like Tom Brady. Obviously, it all came down to a missed field goal. So, I mean, the Patriots were in it until the very end. They had the opportunity to take the win. It didn't go that way. Obviously, it, bounced off the upright, and there was inclement weather and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, kudos to the sports books, because like you said, I mean, they really dangled out the carrot and we all took it. And it was a good weekend for sports books. I will say, on the other end, BetMGM did say 91% of money line bets did come in on the Bucks. So obviously, if you bet the money line, good weekend for you. But overall, it was a good weekend for sports books. So that's why it's our worst of the week for bettors out there.
For me, the worst of the week was Matt Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, kudos to Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, and the Cardinals for ending their losing streak to the Rams, but they did not look good against the Arizona Cardinals. So to me, that's the bad of the week, and not just because all of my prop bets dropped from that game. I mean, all of them were really close, but none of them hit. But I'm not jaded.
Not
That's not
worst
why.
of the week.
That's not why it's the worst of the week. Just because this was a chance for Matt Stafford to show that the first start of the season wasn't an anomaly, and now we'll see what happens when they play on Thursday night against the Seattle Seahawks. But by the time this records, people will know the outcome of the game. We won't. So we'll see what happens with Matt Stafford and the Rams now after a little bit of a hiccup.
Yeah, no, that definitely wasn't their best performance. But like you said, congrats to, I mean, listen, Kyler Murray rushed. You emailed me or texted me saying your prop hit, didn't it? And I was like, no, I needed him to go into the end zone. I didn't. So it wasn't a good prop weekend for me either. But yeah, I'm interested to see. Obviously, this is Thursday morning when we're recording for you guys, so we will be watching the Thursday night games, see how they hold up. But all right, Ian, it is time. We were on the fence about covering this. It is time for Take It to Twitter. And I will say, Ian and I went back and forth on whether we were going to cover this, but it has blown up so much that I think our Take It to Twitter has to be the Urban Meyer hot mess express debacle. I mean, it is just completely snowballed from what it was. I think on, what was it, Sunday, that I emailed you like, do you think we
Yep.
should cover this? Well, now we have to cover this. And I
We don't
guess
have
I'll
a
give
choice because now there's betting markets for where Urban Meyer is going to coach next. So,
exactly, and legal betting markets, right? So
yep,
we don't see this a lot. So again, not in all states will you have the opportunity to bet on where a coach will go next, but in Ian's hometown of Colorado, you can, and the markets are out. And so we figured, all right, if we're going to be taking bets on it, we might as well cover it. But I guess I'll give a little bit of a synopsis. We're going to do short and sweet. I think everyone's seen the video. We don't need to replay the video here, but in case you've been living under a rock, essentially the Jags come off of their fourth straight loss. They are away at Cincinnati, and Urban decides he's not going to fly back with the team. He's going to stay back and visit some people in Ohio. And at first it was supposed to be a dinner, but then these he says these people across the, restaurant asked him to go out to a bar, those evil people. And eventually a video gets out of him getting a suggestive dance from somebody that is not his wife. And there were a lot of comments on Twitter of people defending him, saying, you know what, there's a lot of stuff that goes on extramaritally in the NFL, and that's between him and his wife. And I don't think that is the crux of the issue here. The crux of the issue is that, number one, you didn't get on the plane with your team after they have a devastating close loss, and now you've become a distraction.
exactly. And that's what led to Shad Khan, owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, issuing a statement. And Rich Eisen actually touched on this on his show, where we're now into he could be removed from his job.
Yes.
Because in his statement, Cod says conduct last weekend was inexcusable.
And we actually have it. So we're going to put this up for you. We're not going to show the video, but we're going to actually give you a few seconds to read the statement here that the Jacksonville Jaguars ownership put out. So yeah, Ian, I mean, it's coming out in the media that he could be fired on essentially a morality clause, that, there's some sort of language in his contract that they feel that they can get him on here for
the morality clause.
Right.
That's in all NFL contracts.
So, I mean, yeah, I understand where people are like, it's his marriage and his business, but it's more than that, because now obviously ownership has to put out a statement, and I get that. But now we're getting interviews from players saying there's absolutely no respect in the locker room. As soon as he leaves conversations with the players, they're laughing behind his back. You actually just sent me a tweet this morning about them ending a huddle with grind. And, it's just like, at this point, it is a complete debacle in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point now is him earning the respect and trust back of his players. That's the only way.
It can happen.
Yeah, there's no way Urban Meyer is going to get that back, because Mike Silver, who used to be with NFL Network, has covered the NFL for decades, sent out a thread about how he canceled the team meeting on Monday and then didn't even have, at least up until that point, he's since done it, but he didn't even look at them in the eye as a full team and take ownership of it. And then went to each position group And then as soon as he left, they started laughing behind his back.
Yeah. And I think once it's at that point, it's too far gone. Also, I mean, it is what it is. Like the apology was, excuse my language, it was half-assed. I mean, we're talking about, oh, it's up to the players now and it's up to team leadership to, right this ship. It's up to you. You're the head coach. You've got a young quarterback who, I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I wish Trevor Lawrence would have kind of risen above this, but I do get it. Like he's a young quarterback. He's being told by Urban Meyer, oh, you better watch what you do when you're in Vegas for your bachelor party. I mean, the hypocrisy is just, it's through
It's
the roof.
thick.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, I mean, he's just done. And at that point, I mean, I could probably only laugh at Urban Meyer too for having video of getting himself grinded on by a young woman that's not his wife and then telling me I need to be careful for my bachelor party in Las Vegas. So I don't think the situation's salvageable, but like you said, either do sports books because there's already markets out of where he's going next.
There is. And the favorite is obviously your school, USC. What's
Right
surprising
off.
about
We
it,
don't want you.
what's surprising about it is there's a couple of NFL teams in there. Like there's the Bears, the Texans, but I think the most intriguing are other Florida schools. Like Florida State is mentioned on there. How ironic would that be? Because Florida State and Florida still have a big rivalry. And then someone who responded to the Play Colorado Twitter account, Colorado_play, said, "What about Miami?" And that would be even more ironic given the rivalry between Florida and Miami. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, he's going to be linked to USC. A lot of people are like, he did it on purpose so that he could get the USC job. And
I'm
I will
not
say,
sure.
I will say, in terms of Twitter, NFL Twitter, gambling Twitter, whatever it is, you can't get consensus on anything. Like there are still people who say Patrick Mahomes is not a good quarterback. But as soon as Urban Meyer was linked to the Jacksonville Jaguars,
Like
literally everybody said this is going to be a catastrophe. And here we are. I didn't think it was going to be 4 weeks, but when they played the Broncos in week 2, my podcast co-host Adam Malnati and I actually talked about, could this be what breaks Urban Meyer and sends him to USC? And that was in week 2. So it's happened way sooner than I think anyone expected it to happen, but it's not a surprise.
I mean, I told you this before we started. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that Urban Meyer was going to go to USC, I would have been okay with it. I am not going to pretend that Urban Meyer has not had transgressions in the past, and I'm not going to say he's like the beacon of morality. I think we all knew coming into Jacksonville that he had his issues, but I think at this point it would be a misstep for USC with the distraction, the lack of accountability. That is the last thing USC needs in another coach. I'm sorry, but I don't look at Urban Meyer now and the way that he's handled the situation. And sorry, my dog's going crazy. So if you hear her, I apologize, but she's clearly has an opinion on this. But I don't look at the way he's handled the situation and get a gut feeling of this is a guy that's going to take a struggling team to a national championship. And at the end of the day, I understand that Urban Meyer has ties with Fox. There are a lot of Fox executives that are tied to USC and they want to see, or did in the past, I don't know how they feel now, but they wanted to see that happen and tried to make that happen. And I think that the tone has definitely shifted here.
In terms of the odds, the sports book that has the market right now is Maxim Bet, which just rebranded from sportsbetting.com. And I mentioned USC as the favorite.
Yep.
Last I saw it was plus 150 for USC, followed by Texas plus 250, the Bears plus 400, Florida State plus 500, the Texans. I don't even think Urban Meyer would want to touch the Texans, plus 800, and then the Atlanta Falcons plus 1,500.
I don't think anyone wants to deal with the Texans issues right now. But yeah, those are the legal betting markets. And it's also interesting. I know we've been on Take It to Twitter for a while, but I do want to touch on this, that this is not a normal market that you would see at most legal online sportsbooks. So most states, as far as their regulations go, will not let you actually wager on where a coach will go after they are fired. And a lot of times when you do see these lines, it is actually going to be an offshore sports book, but Colorado does allow it in the regulations. So if you are in Colorado and you are seeing these lines, especially like Ian said at Max and Bet, you can legally bet on this.
Well, and I was all over the who's going to be the Broncos quarterback. At first, it
Yep.
started with Deshaun Watson. That was a market that was very popular. Then, of course, Aaron Rodgers was a popular market, and almost all the sports books had that up. So Colorado is one of the few states where you can actually, as you said, bet on where coaches or quarterbacks, players are going to end up next. And a popular one right now is Ben Simmons with the Philadelphia 76ers. I get that this is football, but that's another example of a possible market that isn't available in most states, but will be here if they decide to offer it.
Yeah, which is, like I said, it's awesome. It's, again, one of those markets, like you said, that everyone has strong opinions on, everyone on Twitter. I mean, you can't go on Twitter, look at the Urban Meyer thing and not see a mention of USC. So I actually hope that more markets are open to this kind of betting. But again, we know things change slowly in the sports betting world. So we'll see if any more markets open up to it. But do you have anything to add, or have we exhausted the Urban Meyer scandal?
Just really quick on the last part of that of sportsbooks being slow. That's why we still have states that still require you to go to a brick and mortar casino to sign up for an app,
My state,
which is ridiculous.
Las Vegas. But again, I mean, I think Vegas is unique in that. But yeah, there are definitely
South
Illinois.
Dakota does it too with Deadwood.
Yeah, Illinois, I mean, had mobile registration and ended mobile registration. So things are, as fast as we feel like it's progressing, some of the regulations are still very far behind.
Yes. But
All
that's
right.
enough of Urban Meyer. We have grinded on that one enough.
I like that you got that in there. And honestly, we'd love to hear your opinions on it. So comment on the video, comment on, when we post this out on Twitter, like we want to hear your Twitter takes. So let us know. But it is time to get on the boat and take it over to Fantasy Island. And I actually have a little, let's row our boat. I have a nugget for this one. Sometimes I usually stay at a Fantasy Island, but I think if you have rostered Robert Woods and you are frustrated, my take here is going to be to stay patient. I know that so far he's got 15 receptions for the season. If you kind of extrapolate that out over the season, that means if he stays at this pace, he's going to end about 20-ish receptions under what his average is for the past few years. And I get that is frustrating, but the reason I'm saying hold it out is because Sean McVay came out, made a statement, said he understands that they need to get Robert Woods more looks. He understands he needs to get the ball more and be more of an integral part of this team. So I think Sean McVay is realizing it, and it's gonna get there, and he's gonna make up for the deficit. So just stay patient. Don't trade him yet. Keep him on your roster.
And because teams are going to start teeing off on Cooper Kupp. I mean, at some point they're going to start double teaming him, and that's when Robert Woods is going to get the action that he almost always gets.
Yeah, I mean, I get that people are frustrated, but it's a good sign. You have a new quarterback with the team, so like you got to give them time to mesh and figure out what they're doing in practice. And I think if you have that directive coming down from leadership, it's going to get there. You just got to be patient. So that's my take. What do you have for us this week?
One thing that I've utilized in my fantasy league is, especially if you have a salary cap league, you can streamline your defense where you pick if the defense is available, obviously, going against bad offenses. So obviously, any team that plays the Houston Texans is going to be a must-play defense. So this week it would be the New England Patriots. So if they're available, you pick them up. Typically, that's going to be the New York Jets, too, with rookie quarterback Zach Wilson. Another one this week, depending on what Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers do with Jimmy Garoppolo, if he's injured, healthy, whatever. If Trey Lance plays, the Cardinals might be a play as well. So this is where, if you're in a salary cap league and you put all of your salary on quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and you don't have a lot of money for a defense, this is where you can streamline it and then get the play and the points going against bad offenses. So that's always something that you could put in your back pocket, like we talked about last week with stacking running backs. This is something that you can do throughout the course of the league if your defense isn't living up to expectations. Find a good matchup and pick that defense.
All right. I like it. I feel like we got some solid advice this week for Fantasy Island. I'm gonna get us back in the boat. We're gonna go, we're gonna go to the mainland, and we're gonna have ourselves a little bit of a promo party. But Ian and I do owe you some clarification from last week, so we are going to reiterate that WinBet offer, which is still an absolutely fantastic offer. It is that bet $1 win 100 for new users. Again, I'm going to go over the details here. You have to sign up for WinBet, make an initial deposit of at least 20, place a $1 wager on the money line, spread, or totals market of an NFL game. And if either team scores a touchdown, you'll get those $100 in free bets. But we did forget to mention last week that this one is not available in Michigan. So I am sorry if you are in Michigan, this one is not available to you. But we did forget to mention that. So we just wanted to reiterate. And then a new one this week, which is kind of a very similar format, is DraftKings. So DraftKings has a new user offer out there that is also bet $1 win 100, but this one is a little bit more expansive. So if you're a new user to DraftKings, all you have to do is sign up, and then you have to deposit at least $5. So the deposit threshold is a little bit lower than that at WinBet. Bet a minimum of a $1 on a money line wager. So only money line is the available market for this, but you can bet a money line for an NHL, MLB, or NFL game between now and October 17th. If either team scores, DraftKings is going to credit you with 4 $25 free bets, and those are valid for 7 days. But you have to sign up, deposit, and make that wager before midnight on October 17th.
And those are great offers. I mean, we talk about no-brainers. That's a no-brainer if you're a new user to DraftKings. For me, my promo party is one that PointsBet has offered from the beginning of the NFL season, even college football, so you can do both, where they offer no juice spread lines. So plus 100. So what does no juice mean? And I'm not going to wrap it. If you saw the Darren Ravel video, I'm not going to do that. We've seen enough. The last time someone did that, it broke Facebook. I don't want to do that again. Maybe it'll break Twitter.
I can box for you. Are you sure? Or do you want to change your mind? You don't want to it?
Yeah.
All right. We're just going to tell you what the juice is.
I'm good on that.
What juice is?
So juice, or the vigorish, or the vig, is how sportsbooks get paid. So when you see a minus 110 spread line, which is typically what it is, that 10 is the vig or the juice that goes to the sportsbook and how it gets paid. So PointsBet is taking that off, and it's now just plus 100 across the board for any NFL or college football game.
I like it. And those are cool. Like you said, this and the PointsBet one is great because that's for new and current users, right? Those are just markets that you can take advantage of. Obviously, like you said, the DraftKings and the WinBet ones are essentially like these no-brainer free money deals. I mean, put it in quotes because obviously like nothing is free money, but they're almost guaranteed wins. But we understand that obviously a lot of the marketing is heavily targeted towards acquisition. So when you see some of these retention marketing strategies like no juice that current users can get in on, that's also very exciting.
And I think I mentioned that it was college football. It's just NFL games. So just to make sure that I clarify that. And they say that the lines will be available at least 48 hours before kickoff.
Awesome. So definitely head over to PointsBet. They're live in a handful of states to get that offer. Okay. It's time for prop block and drop it, but we need that Stephen A. Smith funeral.
Yeah, we do. We should have that played right now throughout the rest of this segment.
Yeah, maybe if we can find some non-copyrighted funeral music to just play in the background, because I am 0-3, and you are
One and
1-4
4.
for prop lock and drop it. And man, we've been right there the whole season, and we just have not been able to get it done. But nevertheless, we have to continue on. So I'm actually going to go with 2 because you did 2.
Ooh.
You did 2, I think, in week 2. And I feel like I need to, now it's my turn, and we'll both be at 5 for I think the end of this week. So, or 6 at the end of this week. So I'm going to go longest field goal over 45.5, which is at -120 at DraftKings Sportsbook for the Cowboys-Giants game. I like this. They're in a dome. So that's obviously you take the weather factor out of it.
Unless you're in Los Angeles, where you get a lightning storm that delays the start of the game.
An open dome, a side breeze canopy area. And what was that? That was a $5 billion stadium. I mean, I get it. They wanted fresh air, but man, people were not happy with that rain delay, lightning delay.
John Gruden wasn't happy with it either.
Oh no, that was one of the other things I was going to do for Take It to Twitter was imagine being the ref that has to go tell Gruden that there's a lightning delay in a dome.
It's not going to connect with him.
And it didn't. He was quite upset, and the facial expressions were amazing. But this, I believe, is a truly enclosed dome, no open air in Dallas. Zerlin has the leg. He, speaking of SoFi, did kick a 56-yard winning field goal in SoFi to win over the Chargers in week 2. And the Giants kicker has a 55-yarder for the season. That's his long. So I'm going to go for that. So I'm going to go over 45.5, longest field goal in that game. And then I'm also going to take shortest touchdown in the Chiefs-Bills game at under 1.5 yards at -120 at DraftKings Sportsbook. So those are my 2 props for the week.
And again, you picked a prop from the game I went to, but mine isn't anything like that. It's a quarterback prop.
Okay.
I'm going with Josh Allen over 2.5 touchdowns. And right now at DraftKings, it has great market value at +140. I was going to go with Justin Herbert over 1.5, but I think that's too easy, but it's also like -270, so you're not going to win anything. So I'm gonna say Josh Allen gets 3 touchdown passes against the Chiefs, mainly because the Chiefs defense is not very good. I mean, Jalen Hurts last week threw 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts. This isn't Josh Allen. And I think the Bills are going to be motivated to get some revenge from their playoff loss last year. Josh Allen and Sean McDermott and the Bills know if they want to get over that hurdle and become a Super Bowl contender, they have to beat the Chiefs. And they're going to want to have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs come to Bills Mafia for a playoff game. This is their chance to do that. On Sunday Night Football, I think Josh Allen is going to perhaps play his best game as a pro quarterback, and I think he's going to get 3 touchdown passes.
I like it. It's like we have ESPN or something. A little Mean Girls reference, I had to. But I mean, I don't know how we picked the same game. I promise you, we do not discuss this before we film. But okay, we're going to be sweating the same game again. I like it. That about wraps it up for the Huddle this week. Good luck to all of you betting, and for those of you that are not, enjoy this weekend's game, and we will see you next Friday. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.